Good morning. What's up, good people? What's up? It's your girl, Jamaica. I'm back. It's been a minute. Some of y'all might have seen me in other aspects or what have you, but it's been a minute since I've been live on my page and also on my YouTube page. So I'm here, y'all. I'm here. I'm alive and well. All is good. I'm jumping on because I wanted to talk to y'all about something that has been happening in my life, but also I know in the life of many others. And when I get that unction to share or to just be transparent and just speak from my heart, it always is effective to somebody else, right? Like we live a life out loud that others might grow or others might hear what I call those trigger words that help them to act and help them to, ponder and just kind of like reflect on what's happening in their lives. And so I'm here for it. Hola, PG or GP, PG. Um, but it's been a while since I've been live on my page, right? Like I used to be live all the time and sharing, and I realized like I had to take a minute. And it wasn't even a minute um that was calculated by me. Like it wasn't a strategy. It wasn't like I'm just taking a hiatus or like, doing self-care. It wasn't that. It was um that my body and my mind um, basically made the decision for me. So I'm going to run it back a little bit. Like a lot of y'all, y'all followed our page or we've been connected for as friends for a long time. And so y'all know like my journey. Y'all have seen me um, be single. You see me in ministry. You see me doing all these different things in regards to the call and commissions that are on my life over the years, right? So you've seen this most. I've been on Facebook on my Facebook page, I think for like 15 years or something. So you have seen the gamut, okay? You have seen the whole process. You've seen the whole overview of my journey. And so I'm going to say we kind of stopped out. We were in Georgia, right? The last that y'all have kind of heard from me, my family had relocated from Connecticut to Georgia. And it was a God thing, right? Like we didn't, I don't even think we kind of expounded on that. We probably got to circle back. Me and Drew got to circle back and like really talk more about that process. But we were comfortable. We were comfortable in Connecticut. That was our home base. That's where we're from. And things kind of just got really stale. Like y'all know me by now. Like y'all know I'm not one to chase my words. It's really hard for me to chase my words. And try to sweeten my words so I don't. But it got really stale. Work got stale, church got stale, family got stale. And I say that not in a disrespectful way, but like there was a lot of shifting that was happening and shifting in our family. And it was like we felt like we were stuck. We felt like we weren't moving forward. And so we get this word from God that it's time to uproot. It's time to move, and we leave everything. We sell our home that we've had for 12 years. I purchased a home when I was single, raised my oldest daughter in it, and it was just time to go. So we left everything. Had a tag sale, sold everything, sold our car. We had one car left and just drove with what was in our car down to Georgia. Okay, so this is last year. Everything happened. So when we got to Georgia, like it just seemed like the dams broke loose. Like we're in this new space, we're settled in, we're getting settled in, but I have no peace, right? I have no peace. And that's generally not my countenance. Like I'm generally a very by the literally by the Holy Spirit, not by myself, because yeah, that's a whole nother story. But I am generally a very peaceful, optimistic person, and everything that was who I am, who I know myself to be, was the opposite when we got to Georgia. And so I realized over the last 3 years, though, in hindsight, like I made a lot of transitions that were God transitions, right? They were out of obedience. Come on, PG. They were out of obedience. And I was making these moves where God was saying, leave my career, leave my job. I was leaving all these things that were identity factors for me and just jumping. When you go to the pool, some people ease their way into the pool and some people jump in. I just jump in. I don't like the process of easing in. I just get the initial shock. And so I would make these moves, like, right when I would hear from God, I would talk to my husband. I would seek wise counsel. I've always been one to seek wise counsel and be like, this is what I'm hearing, what's going on. And so that's what I did. So I left my career of 20 years, left my income source, everything, and started my nonprofit, which I felt like God was really positioning me for. And everything was amazing at that time. It felt amazing. I was journeying, I was jumping into the new. I asked my husband certain things like what aspect can we share, because I can tend to overshare. Overshare at times. So great. I asked for grace from my husband, but it's like, yo, we jumped and I left my career. My husband was an entrepreneur, and it's like we have money in the bank, but listen, that little bank started drying up, honey. That bank started drying up, and before we knew it, like, we were in food pantry lines. I was literally seeking out, the very assistance that I was helping others attain through my work, and I was like, this ain't God. This ain't it right here. This is not I must have got it wrong. Like, I was like, Drew, did we hear wrong? And a lot of times I was in a momentum where my husband was on his journey before we met. Like, God was speaking to him about the things that he had in line for him and the things that he was calling him to, and so was I. So we were both in like full-fledged understanding of our ministries, of the things that God was calling us to, and then we come together. So we're still in motion, right? So these aspects of who God called us to be and these things at work were in motion. So I'm like, okay, this is what God is telling me to leave my job, right? Now, this was the third time that God had spoken that to me, and I tried it and went right back, because it was almost like it would draw me back and I would fall for it, right? And I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced that, where thank God for his grace and mercy, because the third time is a charm, right? Like, I've been out of my career for 3 years now, but I attempted it 3 times and would try it. The money would dry up. I wouldn't know what to do, didn't know what way to navigate, and I would get a call from somebody in my industry that would say, can you come do this work, or can you come do this contract, because I had become really good at what I was doing, right? And so I will go back, but this time I have not turned back, and it has been life-changing. So over the last 3 years, I'm kind of just bringing you up to speed, because like I said, it's been a while since I've been on here like this, but and some of you will watch the replay. Thank you for watching the replay. But 3 years ago, I was just like, I'm going to do it for real because he's asking me. And I left my career again, started the nonprofit, received funding for the nonprofit, right? And then I got a part of this amazing group of women that have been doing the work, anti-trafficking, sexual assault preventative work within a culturally specific dynamic across the country for decades. And I got a chance to meet a whole new group of women and a whole new work and a whole new way of doing things and caring about people than I've ever imagined. And so in that, I dove into it, right? And I gave everything that I had, every waking hour. I would wake up, I would go to bed with an expectation of waking up to start the work. I was traveling the last 3 years. I have traveled all over the country, been out of the country. I had never been out of the country other than on my cruise for my honeymoon to the Bahamas. I didn't even have a passport, right? And so during that journey of, doing the nonprofit, I heard God one day tell me to get a passport and for my whole family to get a passport. Drew and I, we did have our passports, but my passport was old. It was my old former last name, and so I couldn't use it anymore. So I go and I get all of our passports. We get our children's passports, and I'm like, why do our kids need a passport. Like, they're not really traveling anywhere. They're not going anywhere. And we do that. And that was it. And so I'm working in my nonprofit and I'm experiencing things that I never thought I would experience, right? Like I'm all over. They're sending us, we went to Hawaii, Virgin Islands, all to these places where there are remote communities of color that are affected, unfortunately, by sexual assault and trafficking and just sexual violence in general. And we were bringing these resources and gathering this information. But while I'm there, I'm soaking up the experience, right? So I had never been anywhere like that. So they would send us to these hotels and I would be like, oh, now this ain't the Motel 6. I'm just being honest. Like I was a working class mom. Like I was hustling out there. The last 25 years, my daughter's 20, but like 25 years, all I knew was hustle and grind. And like all I knew was working 2 jobs through college. And that's all I knew. And so, going to these places and going to these islands and going to even California, certain parts in San Diego, all these places, it was just not in my makeup. And the last 3 years exposed me to a new world. It exposed me to a new world in two different aspects. I saw that there's more. I saw that I wanted more. I saw that the exposure, it showed me that there was more to grasp, more that even God would put in alignment for me and my family than I wanted, that I thought I wanted. But then it also exposed me to different cultures, right? It exposed me to different faiths, different religions, different beliefs, even amongst the African diaspora. It showed me just how vast the world is. And some of it I didn't like. Can I just be honest in that? Like some of it I was like, what is that? It challenged me in ways because I had been so incubated, in people that looked like me, talk like me, act like me, had faith like me. And so I just felt like a fish out of water many times, right? And so in all that, these last 3 years, I'm now navigating a new career. I'm navigating trusting God with finances, right? Trusting God with entrepreneurial ventures in my family, trusting God with our family makeup and dynamics. Like we have an adult child that is 20, that is she is neurodiverse, she's on the autism spectrum, she's brilliant and intricate in all her ways, but has challenges at times. We have a 6-year-old, and listen, y'all already know I'm in my 40s with a 6-year-old. That in itself, I don't even have, that's just self-explanatory. Okay, so you already know what time it is. And it's like we have these dynamics of my husband being an entrepreneur and then me just being this hustle fanatic, right? It was a lot to navigate. And so the last 3 years, all in its beauty and all in its exposure, I didn't realize how much it was just like eating away at me. And so I say eating away at me because what was happening that I now understand is that I was facing burnout. Like, some people call it like strong woman syndrome. You have people that, have these coined phrases in the mental health community that have done these studies, but strong Black woman syndrome or strong Black woman, I forget what they call it, but basically they've termed these ways of expression of how we can be walking, and I call it the walking dead, because people think you're all right. People think you're good because you're still walking, you're still moving, you're still producing. Listen, you're still launching programs, you're still, affecting lives, you're still out here, got your kids out here, they dressed and they fed, and you still doing all these things. And so people automatically assume that you're good. People automatically, assume that you're good. And so I came to this like kind of crashing point in Georgia last year where I was like, I've seen too much and have been exposed to too much in good ways. And I'm like, and I know that there's more. And so I start seeking the more. I'm like, all right, hun, listen, can we travel a little bit? Right? We got a little bit of coins. Okay. At that time, we had a little bit of coins. We had sold our home and had done well. And I'm like, well, can we go see some things on a personal note? not for business. And so we start traveling. We start going to, oh, hi, Cherie. Sorry, I got distracted. Squirrel moment. But Pastor Cherie. And so, you know, I say, let's start traveling. And we get up and we start traveling because I was not comfortable. I was like, Georgia, I don't know why God has us here. And I'll be honest, a lot of healing was happening for me in Georgia. A lot of things that I didn't understand until I got there. So I'm like, if this is why we were here, if this is our launching pad, if this is our starting point, then so be it. But it wasn't pretty. Okay, I thought it was gonna be okay. We going back to ATL, well, you know, the land of the you know, the Black Mecca of America, you know, the entrepreneurial Black capital of America. This is gonna be on and popping. This is my people. This is my hustle folk. And I was like, this ain't it. This, now it might be it for others, but it was not it for me. And I spiritually struggled. I spiritually struggled. I struggled to bridge in community. I couldn't find my people. We were going to church. We went to like, we are like, oh, we're gonna go to the dopest church that's out there, right? Like, you know, everybody done heard about him. He's nationally syndicated. Like his church done grown from, you know, 500 in 1 week to 5,000 in 2 months. We're gonna go there. He preaching the truth. And I will go there and struggle. And it wasn't the church. Let me just be clear. It was me. It wasn't some false doctrine being spoken. It was nothing like that. I just couldn't get in a rhythm. I was trying to find my way back to this place of me walking in contentment and peace, and it wouldn't happen. And so I said, well, we're gonna go on a cruise. We went on a cruise. We decided, nope, we're not doing Thanksgiving where we do the normal, you know, things we become accustomed to. Because I'll be honest, like I had gotten accustomed to learning about what Thanksgiving really was and from the Native community. And I was disgusted. I was like, I don't want to do that. Nope, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. I want to just go and spend time with my family. So we went on this cruise, right? And my husband, thank God for him. Like when he tells me no, like he really means it. And I honor him because I know like his no means something. He's thought about it and he's like, that's not the look. But for the most part, my husband will kind of rock with me. He'll be like, you know what? Like, I know you got a sound mind for the most part, girl. So if you say we going on a cruise, we got the funds. All right, let's do it. And so we go on this cruise as a family. And the cruise brings us to Panama, Cozumel, Mexico, Belize. It brings us to Central America, Colombia, Costa Rica. I'd never known, thought, studied nothing about Central America at all, right? Never even desired to come to Central America, South America. And so I'm like, oh, this cool. This cruise sounds cool. You know, we had not been on a cruise that long and definitely not with our entire family. So we go on the cruise. I'm in distress on the whole cruise. Like, let's just be clear. Like, I am in distress. I can't hardly sleep. I'm struggling, you know, just to be happy on the cruise. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I just can't grasp myself. Everything was just like, it was just turmoil for me. But everybody else is having a great time. But I'm still showing up. You know, I'm still going to the events. I'm still going on the excursions. I'm still laughing and taking the pictures. But inside, I'm just like dying. I'm just the Walking Dead trying to find my way, right? And so we go back home and I'm trying to get settled. I can't get settled in Atlanta. And I say, you know what? I really loved when I went to Panama. Right? I'm like, something about it. I couldn't place it. We didn't stay long. But when I put my feet on the soil, I was like, I just want to stay right here. I don't want to go on any other countries, any other excursions. So when we got back home, I was like, let's plan a trip to go directly to Panama, right? So my husband was like, oh, okay, so another trip? I'm like, yeah, we're going on an adventure, right? Like, why do we have to be, we are entrepreneurs, like, right? We have an organization that's mobile. We don't have to be stuck to one place. Let's do it. So we come back to Panama in February of 2026 of this year. And I'm wrapping it up, but I know I'm talking a lot, but I just want to catch y'all up. February 2026, we go to Panama, and I come and I slept through the whole night, my first night. Now that might sound like, Jamaica, what are you talking about? What, of course you slept through the whole night. No, I had not slept through the whole night probably in 2 years. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because I was disturbed. I was wrestling in my sleep, never really coming to a full place of REM sleep, always thinking, always wondering, exhausted. I now even identify I was being tormented at times. Anybody that knows me knows like my ministry has been deliverance ministry and inner healing for 15 years now, right? And so it's like I'm not new to this, but I did not see that one coming in regards to even spiritual warfare, and just terrorizing spirits as well. And I can talk a little bit more about that because I think a lot of things came up during the pandemic that woke some things up, not only in the earth, but also woke some things up in ourselves. And if we didn't grasp hold of it, if we didn't hold on to, our faith and our understanding and the totality of what Jesus Christ did for us, if you are a believer, then you struggled, right? And so even look, even the scripture says even the very elect could be deceived, if you're not holding on to your faith and understanding the truth and knowledge of Christ, right? So I say all that again to say I was struggling, and I had my first night of sleep, my first full night of sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and my husband said to me, "You realize that you did not get up not one time, and get up and pace and pray and walk the floor." There's one thing because we can spiritualize things. Like I'm like, oh, I'm called to a watch, right? You know, I'm called to a prayer watch, which is true. I have been called to prayer watches many times, but I was just like saying that, you know what I mean? Like I'm just called to the prayer watch. No, you being disturbed out of your sleep, like something is disturbing you, and so don't just veil it in God's calling me to pray. Like no, you're in distress, right? And so my husband said to me, "You slept through the whole night," and I was like, right? I was like, wow, I wonder what that's about. And the next night I slept. The next night I slept. And we were here for our whole family was here, us and our two kids. And I think it was 7 days we were here. And the day that we were scheduled to leave, I just burst out crying. Now, anybody who knows me, like, like I don't cry like that. I really cry when people are being healed. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a reverential kind of like I'm in the moment cry, but like for me to cry at an occurrence of something or like, or nah, that's just not my makeup like that. And I just burst out crying. And my husband was like, "What is wrong?" I was like, "I want to stay another day. I don't know if we have the money to stay, but I want to stay." And he was like, "All right, if you could figure this out, like that'd be my husband, right?" He'd be like, "All right, if you gonna figure that out on how we can extend this Airbnb, and if we can not lose money with the tickets by changing it and all this stuff, then I'm with it." So your girl, listen, don't give me a challenge. Don't give me a challenge. Your girl was out then negotiated the price with the Airbnb people. I done got the tickets changed. Listen, and got a credit to come back for each one of our tickets because we took a flight that was not a preferred flight on our way back home. I'm like, cool, like we can do that. We going back home anyway. It is what it is. And so we end up staying another 2 days, 2 or 3 days extra. And I was like, what was that? That's when I listen. That's why I said, wait a minute, what was that? And I began to pray. That's when I started asking God, what is it either about this place or about me in this place that I feel peace? Because the world's still worlding, you know what I mean? Life is still lifing, around us and in the midst of us. But yet I still had this profound peace that I knew. You know what I mean? Like that I've had encounters with the Lord in ways like nobody can't tell me. Like there's times where I might struggle at times in my thoughts, but my knowing in my heart, I'm like, I know too much. Like I've experienced way too much. And I was like, that piece right there, that's familiar. And when we got back to Atlanta, I was like, I'm going let's please the Lord about this. And so that's exactly what we did, right? And I'm not going to tell too much because I'm going to have my husband jump in another time. We're going to have to share more about like the duality of how we came about actually naming Panama as our second home, our home away from home, a place that we call home. Um, but and all that makeup, but I would prefer to kind of break that down with him because he'd be having a different spin on stuff. He'd be having a different viewpoint that'd be way different than mine. So I like to kind of expound on that together. But I found that being here in Panama, for me, it's not about the space and the place. Because I was, like I said, I was going to different spaces and places and still showing up the same way, still distressed, still smiling, you know what I mean? Being nice to everybody and just hurting on the inside, just broken, just broken hearted and couldn't understand why I'm broken. But it was because I was burnt out. I was burnt out. I had given so much of myself over, not over the last 3 years, but it kind of like was a culmination. It was like single motherhood. First of all, let me say this: going into my teenage years, because like those of you who know, like you read my book and you've heard my story, and it's kind of like, all right, like I was really adultified as a young person because I had this personality that was kind of like go getter. So I wasn't that the kid that that your parents had to, kind of cultivate the chase after, like I just did things on my own. I was very, very just seemingly independent. And I say air quotes because I don't know what youth is really independent like that, but I was seemingly independent. So I was having 2 jobs, you know what I mean? Hustling, figuring out legitimately hustling, figuring things out and doing things since I was a teenager. Right. And so it didn't just, my burnout didn't start from 3 years ago. I believe it was just a culmination of just like over the years of me overdoing it, right? Overextending myself, over serving. That sounds weird, right? Especially as a believer. How can you overserve? Yeah, you standing there, it's like the mother who's standing there and watch her whole family eat, but she ain't eat. She didn't cook this whole meal. I don't know if y'all ever grew up in a community like that. I've seen it, not in my particular family household, but I've seen where mothers just literally stood there. We ain't never see her eat. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, did she eat today? I mean, we done ate good. Listen, we done napped good, and we just saw her standing there while we ate, and then cleaned up after. Um, I I kind of walked in that for so long, and I got accustomed to it. But then my body started catching up to that rat race and was like, we can't do this no more. You know what I mean? You ever try to do something that you used to do in your 20s so easily? Like I cannot multitask. I used to literally write that on my evaluations and stuff at work. You know how like they ask you to give your own personal feedback as yourself as an employee during review time. And that used to be one of my superpowers when I was in my 20s. I was hardcore, like I can multitask. Girl, your girl can't multitask, sir. Your girl can't multitask today. And I've learned that multitasking is not a superpower. It actually is not even a badge of honor. It's not even something you should want to put on your resume that you can multitask because it's not real. You're not really ever able to give 100% of each task, and I cannot do things like I used to do in my 20s, and my body has warned me. My mind has warned me. I'm also fighting, and I say this respectfully, no shade to my family. You already know how I am and how I do. But like I'm also seeing like generational things that have permeated in my family that at the same time of life, it starts to raise its head, and I'm not here for it. Okay. I'm not here for it. So I'm fighting that, right? I'm fighting my body's desire and even my chemical makeup in my body, or even our cells have memory, like, right? Like there's been studies about how we are just like when you don't do dogs, right? And they say, why black people don't do dogs like that? A lot of times black people don't do dogs that they don't know, right? Because of a lot of historical trauma that didn't even happen to us. Ain't no dog do nothing to us, but it did stuff to our ancestors, right? And y'all know what I mean when I say our ancestors. I ain't calling on no ancestors. Let them lie, okay? Let them lay down. We ain't calling on no ancestors. But your body has a chemical makeup and memory cells that are literally in your DNA. And sometimes we like act out these things, act accordingly to our DNA structure. And if you find it in your family, like when you got, I don't know, I'm gonna use something general just so I don't, I like to keep my own test, right? If you find that you come from a family where a lot of people are addicted to alcohol, there's probably a trace there, right? Like there's probably, and then it usually happens around the same time, right? Or I'll say there, I'll stay at the alcohol. So like, yeah, like you find that people tend to start drinking more heavily at that certain age, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're full-fledged alcoholics, and it's like, yo, you gotta notate like this is something that's trying to permeate in my family. Now, whether it's starting from spiritual or it is like a genetic trait, you just know it's there and you're not here for it, right? You have to just respond, right? And so I'm at that place in my life where I can see them traits coming up, and I'm like, I'll cut that down, either spiritually, naturally. I'm not claiming none of that. And so I'm just fighting burnout, y'all. I'm wrapping it up just to tell y'all I came on here to let you know, sister, brother, like fight the burnout, fight everything in you that tells you like this is how we do. You know what I mean? Like fight that you're supposed to be tired every day because you just that's just how you roll. You're supposed to have 2 or 3 jobs. I'm sorry, that is not, especially if you are a believer. I'm gonna tell you that is not the motto. You are not to have 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, to live a lifestyle that you desire to live. There's another motto. There's something missing there. And I'm gonna come off of that because I can go deep there. But that's where I've been. Your girl been fighting. And one thing I'll tell you, if don't be ashamed to fight something. Like if you're fighting, that means you're in it, right? Like you're still standing. It's when we lay down and let it just happen, right? It's when we lay down and just surmise. I've seen that too, y'all. I've seen literally women just say, they literally died from just stop living. They literally died. Their heart just stopped beating because they just said, I'm not going to fight this. I've seen it. And I'm like, that ain't going to be me. That ain't going to be my children. That ain't going to be my children's children. So the fight starts with me for change. And so I love y'all. But yes, Panama is amazing. Panama is, people have asked me, you know what I mean? Because we're like, yo, we be on the low low. But sometimes I'll be having to challenge that with me and my husband. So I'll be like, why we be on the low low like that? Like, is it intentional? Like, can we fleece the Lord about like how we moving? Because man, I've been in seasons where your girl was just on the low low because I ain't want nobody to check me. This is years back, but I ain't want nobody to check me. But I was veiling it in privacy, like, oh, I'm just private. You know what I mean? Or I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like I don't tend to allow a lot of people in my space, you know. But it's like, no, we just have to question like why we be on the low low like that, and what's that's about. So Panama is a part of our life. We are United States citizens of America. Um, we do work, we live, we come back and forth, we do. But in this season, I am acknowledging that I am finding space for my peace, and I'm finding space for me to be recharged. I'm finding space for my gifts to be stirred up in me. My gifts have lied dormant for way too long. And a lot of times that happens. Sometimes God will put you on those sabbaticals. It's like those spiritual sabbaticals, but sometimes it's just you. Sometimes it is literally just you saying, I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do it in that way. I'd rather do it in the church. Oh, can I stop there? And I'm gonna come off of this. But sometimes we just get so comfortable in the church that it's like, I just rather preach in the church. I only want to preach in the church. I don't want to preach outside. I don't want to preach to nobody that's not gonna believe. I don't want to prophesy to those who don't understand the realm of prophecy and the gift of prophecy. I don't want to do that. I don't want to operate in my gifts that God has given me in this dynamic. I just want to do it in the church where every time I get up, they clap. You know what I mean? They say good word, or you know what I'm saying? They acknowledge me. I want to do it only in that regard. I want to do it when I have a robe on. I want to do it when I have a suit on. I want to do it a mic. And then when God be like, that was not the Great Commission. Come on, somebody. Like when God be like, can you go back and read that again? Tell me what the Great Commission says, right? You're gonna go out, you're gonna lay hands on the sick and they'll recover. You'll speak in new tongues. Listen, you will cast out demons in the name of Jesus. Listen, you will help set the captives free. You will spread the gospel. That's the Great Commission, girl. What do you talk about? Everything you describe ain't none of those characteristics, girl. What are you talking about? So just rethink how God wants to use you. Yeah, the marketplace is cool. Yeah, he calls us to the marketplace. Some be called to the marketplace. Not everybody be called to the marketplace, but that's just preferred because it looks better, right? It's just more shinier, more cleaner, more palatable, the other stuff is just too grimy, too dirty, too uncertain, too unsure. So that's where I'm at. I'm just getting my win back. Matthew 28. That's it. 28:19. Getting my win back, getting my fervor back because y'all, we gonna need this. We gonna need it. We gonna need it. And so I love y'all. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you, Pastor Cherie. Thank you, Pastor Glenn, for joining in on my live today. And thank y'all so much. And I love y'all so much. Love you, family. Y'all know y'all be having to forgive. They be calling me like, you ain't have to say all that. Y'all know me, and we out here walking and living free. And so are you. God bless y'all. Peace.